March 31st is a date etched into the memories of Arsenal fans, and every one of them wishes it wasn't. It was the day in 2001 when Arsenal lost one of its favourite sons, David Rocastle, at the age of just 33 to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Rocky, as he was known, was more than just a footballer. He was one of the club's true greats, on and off the pitch.
Well, David was a former teammate of mine. I came here as a schoolboy at the age of 15 alongside David, a very shy young man, outstanding talent, and right from the off I was convinced that he was going to become a top player, which of course he went on to do, and it was a very sad thing when he died so very young. Tragic really for all that knew him. David was a special guy.
I was privileged, again, on my tours that I go around. We've got the time capsule there, and there's 30 different items that are in the time capsule. And one of them is Rocky's shirt, and I had a great privilege of playing football with him, and he's a fantastic footballer. But the thing that I'm more proud of is knowing him as a human being. He was a fantastic person, a fantastic human being. I always give him to say, when I do the time capsule, by the way, David Rocastle shirt, and then I make it pretty clear to the people doing the tours what Rocky was about, who he was, so he ain't never going to be forgotten as I'm concerned.
Well, I mean, it's such a tragic loss of life really for one so young, but Rocky was an absolutely amazing player for the football club, and you know that by when the fans chant your name after such a long time, and had lots of ability, particularly out on that right hand side, and I think at times he was a little bit underrated by a lot of people, but got through an enormous amount of work, and playing out on the left or the right, and Rocky was on the right. You had to under George, because he loved the wingers to tuck back in and protect the fullback. So yeah, I mean, absolutely lovely guy as well, and you know, got on really well with him.
It's just amazing that it's already 10 years, because I remember when it happened, and how quickly it happened, because he went away from England to play for 1 year, and when he came back it happened very quickly.
10 years on from his passing, Rocastle's style of play has not been forgotten. His rare blend of flair and toughness would suit him well in the modern game.
He was a modern player, basically, because the evolution of the game has gone to more technique, more skill, and Rocastle would be perfectly a modern player.
He is an Arsenal great because the way that he played, the way he influenced the side, for someone who had so much flair and ability, and you see Ronaldo being sort of fawned over for doing all his footovers. David Rocastle was doing that in 1986, 1987, but with Rocky he did his footover with a purpose, where he'd do his footover, beat the player, get his cross in or get his shot in. But he had a tenacity about his game as well, which was unusual for a flair player.
Oh, listen, he could look after himself, you know, as we were all brought up to do in those days, and you know, but it was a great talent, and you know, it was one of those things. Actually, a funny story about Dave. I remember that they, in possession of the ball, he kept giving it away, and they couldn't understand why, and they took him out to the pitch one day, onto the middle of the pitch, and he couldn't see the goal at one end, and all they gave him was contact lenses, and from then on in, he was in the first team, I think, at 17. He was a revelation. The crowd loved him because he had that combination of spirit, determination, and you know, brilliant ability on the ball.
Couldn't knock him off the ball. He had you know, he had plenty of strength, and as I said, you know, he was terrific for us, and that combination of him on the right, and then Mickey Thomas in the centre of midfield alongside him, it was a fantastic partnership.
The day of Rocky's passing is still firmly wedged into the memories of the Arsenal faithful. Faithfully, Arsenal were playing Tottenham at Highbury. Their great rivals honoured the silence in memory to Rocastle, and as if in tribute, Robert Pires put on a display for the ages, wearing Rocky's famous number 7.
Respect was served, and that's what you want for a player who had not only an exceptional dimension as a football player, but as well a human dimension, and everybody liked him, you know, and it was, I couldn't believe when you told me it's 10 years ago but we don't forget him.
I'd left the football club, and the first I heard of it was that I was on my way to training with West Ham, and when I heard the news, you sort of stop and you sort of, I don't believe I've really heard just what I've heard, but and then obviously you're listening for updates, and yeah, obviously it was true, but it was obviously a very, very sad day, not only for myself but even more for his family members.
We knew that he'd been ill, but none of us really knew the severity of it. Certainly didn't think it was going to happen like it did, so it was quite a shock. I remember feeling a little bit guilty myself, still being able to play. David had stopped playing 2 or 3 years earlier, and kind of felt guilty. Here I was wanting to carry on playing football, and he couldn't even carry on with his life. And we got to the final, I think, that year, and his son came on the pitch with us, and we were kind of desperate to win it for his son. I think we lost that year against Liverpool, but we made up for it the following year. We went on to win the double, but wanted to do that for his son really that day, and it didn't come off.
I remember exactly where I was when I heard on the radio that Rocky had tragically died, and I was told he was getting better the 2 weeks before. I'd seen Davo, and he said, yeah, he's having treatment, he's getting well. And I'm not an emotional, I'm not an emotional person at all, but that was one of the few times as an adult that I had a tear in my eye with Rocky, and I think anybody who had any connection with Rocky would be exactly the same.